All right, guys. Adam Trigger here on the clock Thursday. Tough day yesterday, 0-2. It just feels like that's how this whole season has gone. 2-0, 2-0 on Tuesday. Nice winners with Creighton and UConn. And then yesterday, just an absolutely brutal loss with St. Bonaventure. That's up there. That's right up there with I feel like I've got a trophy case of like awful beats this season. But I can't recall many that have fallen in my favor that I wasn't supposed to win. But throw St. Bonaventure on the list, plus 2.5. That thing closed pick. So we ended up with a great number, led virtually the entire game, 12-point lead at halftime. Pretty much needed to avoid giving up a 3 and fouling on the final play of the game. Basically the only way we're not going to win there. But of course, a 4-point play, because why not? Rhode Island ends up covering. We go 0-2, but we can't dwell on it. There's a lot of games today. And so show format today, I've got 3 games that I'm going to talk. Actually, I've got 4 games that I'm going to talk about. We're going to bring back parlay of the day. And for the first time all year, I am betting a parlay as a client play. We got to switch it up a little bit. And I love my strategy here. So what I've got for you, we're going to talk a parlay that I bet for 3%. And then 2 plays that I'm very strongly considering. And it's kind of just going to depend on how stuff plays out for the next couple hours. So at least 1 client play. I do have a 4% top rated that is up at WagerTalk, but the better way to buy right now, if you're looking for picks, the 30-day all access. You get it for less than $8 a day, big time discounted rate. And I'm looking, it is February 13th, which means 30 days of all access is pretty much going to take you through the conference tournaments, at least that first week of all the smaller conference tournaments, which tends to be a good time of year for me as we do a lot of work in these smaller conferences. So head on over to WagerTalk if you're interested in that. But if you're not, that's cool. I'm going to give you plays here, but do me a favor, like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so they keep letting me do this show every day. And we'll get right into it. So we're bringing it back one last time. Parlay of the day, but it's also the first time all year that I'm going to release a parlay as a client play. And so I'm going to use the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds to explain why I'm going to do that, but also kind of give you an idea of why I love this bet. So we're going to start with the key leg. The key leg here is Northeastern, minus 190. I would have probably bet Northeastern minus 2.5, but that was long gone, and it was gone very quickly. And I'm a little bit uncomfortable playing on Northeastern without knowing if Masai Troutman is going to play. But my gut tells me that move probably means he's back tonight. So if you remember, or if you're one of my clients, you'll know that part of the reason we bet Hampton over the weekend on Saturday and cashed for a 4%er on Hampton was I knew Troutman wasn't going to play in that game, despite being close to coming back. So I'm trying to read the tea leaves here. 2.5 moves to 4.5. And I think that probably means Troutman is in. He may come off the bench. He's come off the bench before, but the point is that would sort of complete what I've been talking about with Northeastern. When this team is healthy, they're as good as any team in this league. What that means is, I mean, you've got Harold Woods and Rashad King have been awesome all year. They've been carrying this team all season. But you throw, William Kermery came back 2 weeks ago. Troutman's been the real missing link. L.A. Pratt was banged up for a while. He's back. If you get Troutman back, I will probably bet on Northeastern every time they play the rest of the season, because I really believe that the market would be that far off on them as they get to full strength. Because if they were at full strength all year, they would probably be in the top 3 or 4 in this league. Like Campbell's in the top 3 or 4 in this league. The Campbell team that they're going to play tonight, which, at the beginning of the season, Campbell was in such disarray. I was hearing their coach, Kevin McGeehan, who's been there for 12 years, probably wasn't coming back at the end of this year, like at the beginning of the season. And suddenly they've rattled off 7 straight wins. But again, I think some of that has to do with this conference being, there's just a lot of bad teams in this league. Credit where credit is due, though. Campbell's played really good, like awesome on both sides of the ball. Defensively, they've been very solid. I mean, every opponent they're holding to like 50 or 60 points. But Jason Sinani, Sinani went down 2 games ago. I think that matters. Like, man, that was quick. I must be tired from getting home at 3 a.m. because that was like the fastest 2 minutes and 30 seconds ever. Anyway, you could still have Sinani out here. I think that's really tough on Campbell. But more importantly, I'm just willing to buy Northeastern if they are fully healthy. So I'm going to take a chance that Northeastern gets Troutman back here. If they don't, I still think they probably win this game. So all we're asking them to do is to win this game. And if they do win this game, we're going to be in a good spot because we're going to parlay Northeastern with Cal Irvine, who is a minus 430 favorite to win their game at home against Santa Barbara. And the reason I want to use this for the parlay, a couple of reasons. So one, it starts way later. It's like a 10 or 11 o'clock game, which means we're going to know the outcome of the Northeastern game. Why is that important? It allows us to either A, decide we're just going to ride our parlay out, or B, let's say Santa Barbara looks like they're taking some money or I like it a little bit less, can always come back and just try to play for the middle. At least it's an option. I don't think I'm going to do that because I don't think Cal Irvine's going to lose back-to-back home games. They finally lost their first home game of the season over the weekend to a very good UC San Diego team. Right now, Cal Irvine at 20-4 probably has a case to be an at-large team in the NCAA tournament. So I do think that they just bounce back. Listen, UC San Diego's awesome. No shame in that loss right there. All we're asking them to do is a 9-point favorite here is win the game. And I'm comfortable pairing that with Northeastern to get it down to minus 114. Listen, if Northeastern loses the game, it is what it is. I was going to bet them. I was going to bet them on the spread anyway if I didn't miss the number. So if Northeastern loses, so be it. I'll treat it as we just lost the spread bet. If Northeastern wins, I'm pretty comfortable just needing Irvine to win. And if you parlay the two together, Northeastern to Cal Irvine, it comes out in the minus 110 to minus 115 range. I believe I quoted Caesars on the site minus 114. So that is a client play. First ever. First one of the season. I actually don't know if I've ever released a client parlay, money line parlay in college basketball. I think today is the first, but listen, we got to switch something up. Get the juices going a little bit. So we're going to go Northeastern to Cal Irvine, 2-team money line parlay, minus 114, 3% play. Totally blew off the clock on that one. But you know what? We had 2 games to talk about right there. So whatever. I went a little bit longer. Let's try to get this back to 2 minutes and 30 seconds so we can get this show in on time. And we're going to head to Wisdom Gym, Stephenville, Texas, for Tarleton State, Grand Canyon. I badly want to take Tarleton State here. And it's really going to, again, this is going to be contingent on some injury news that I'm going to work for the rest of the day to try to figure out. So Tarleton State has been really good at home. Wisdom Gym first of all, great little building. I've been there. I was there the game after they played Grand Canyon last year, but that Grand Canyon game was crazy. So the students just have to swipe their card to get into the building. And then they go in like a kind of like a different entrance. So the students just come in with their swipe card and go fill in one of the student sections. So they don't really kind of count how many people come into the building. And from what I heard, being there a couple days later, there was like more people than they've ever had in that building jammed in there for the upset of Grand Canyon last year. Now, I don't know if Tarleton's going to upset them this year, but if they were healthy here, they certainly could hang around in this game. Like I've kind of said it all year, Grand Canyon just not quite as good as the market price them coming into the season. And it's really going to depend on 2 guys, Freddie Hicks and D'Antoine Grimes. So Freddie Hicks, we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. I have a feeling that if he's either going to be done for the year, he's going to hang it up for the year because he's trying to get a medical red shirt, or he's going to want to play in this game because this is probably the game. This is a senior year. I don't know if he even wants to come back next year. I'd be shocked if he could give it a go if he wasn't on the floor for this game. And D'Antoine Grimes, I think they just kind of like gave him a rest when they were getting blown out by Utah Valley. He only played 10 minutes in that game, but that was so lopsided that I have to wonder if like the guy's been playing like 40 minutes a game. He's tough as nails. I got to imagine they maybe just gave him a rest. because this game means a lot to Tarleton. It's the Grand Canyon's the name team in this league. And so if those two are in, and I can confirm that, Hicks and Grimes, without a doubt, I'll be on Grand Canyon, or I'll be on Tarleton State. And honestly, if Grimes is fine, I may even be willing to play it without Freddie Hicks, because Hicks has only played 3 games this year. He wasn't even a huge factor in that Grand Canyon game, which I was at. I was in Phoenix for Tarleton Grand Canyon the first time around. And Hicks, he didn't even really factor into that game that much. So it's a big number here, 12 and a half, wherever this is. I could also see Grand Canyon taking money. I have a feeling that it's going to be a popular public bet, since Grand Canyon slammed them in the first meeting. But that's one that I'd be willing to go against, especially if Grand Canyon takes money. And I can confirm that the players that Antoine Grimes and Freddie Hicks are in for Tarleton. Those are 2 things that I'm sort of looking at that could upgrade this from play we talked about on the clock to client play. So keep your eyes out for that. I will let you know if I decide to upgrade it. Another play that I could potentially upgrade here is going to be Southern Utah, who host Utah Tech in a battle of 2 just atrocious basketball teams. But the reality here is, in my opinion, but I don't think it's opinion, I feel like it's kind of fact, Utah Tech is far worse. Like, these are 2 bad basketball teams, but Utah Tech is far and away the worst team in this league. I did a preview for this conference coming into the season, and I noted Utah Tech's talent was far inferior to the rest of the league. Like, talent-wise, I had them dead last, and Utah Tech had a dream start to conference season. They pulled an upset of a Texas Arlington team that was sort of in disarray, and then they beat Tarleton State at home in a game where Tarleton had just come off of like back-to-back big upset wins, and then had to go play, like a back-to-back. Tarleton had won at Southern Utah as a dog, and then 2 days later had to go to Utah Tech and really just choked away, like had a big lead in the first half of that game and choked it away. Utah Tech is 0-12 on the road this year, but and listen, I think Southern Utah is terrible as well. They burnt me a couple of times. I think they should be better than they are. But if you just watch these 2 teams play, it's clear Southern Utah's got the better players. Southern Utah was banged up for a little bit. They've got guys like Dominique Ford back. Like, they look more like the team that I think like most people expected them to. They definitely did against Cal Baptist. That was a really impressive win a couple times out over Cal Baptist. But then they do what they've done all season, and it's just like head-scratching loss to Abilene next time out. So, yeah, could Southern Utah easily just come out and just be terrible and lose? Like, they could, but the more likely thing that's going to happen here is Southern Utah is bigger, they're more physical, and they're just a better team. Utah Tech 0-12 on the road. This team, they luck their way into wins every once in a while, but it's such a bad basketball team that you're kind of getting this is a short number. Last I saw it was 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised if this has since moved to maybe 3 or something like that. Tough to lay points with Southern Utah at this point, but man, Utah Tech is bad, and I feel like they just get absolutely slammed here. So Southern Utah minus the points, free pick. And like I said, keep an eye out on my Twitter at AdamTriggerWT. I'm going to let you know if I add any of these. Tarleton State is a candidate for a client play ad. Southern Utah is a candidate for a client play ad. And I gave you the moneyline parlay, Northeastern to Cal Irvine. That's a 3% play. It's about minus 114. 4% is up on my page. Let's win today. I'll see you guys back here in the morning.